Hello, everyone, and welcome back to R and J Reviews. We have a good one. We have a good one here tonight.
A very good one.
Hannibal, season 3, episode 1, Antipasto. A lot to talk about here. So, first,
Yes.
for anyone just tuning in now to this channel, my name is Joe. I'm joined here by my co-host Rob.
Yep. The R and he is the J.
Yep, in R and J. Contrary to how it looks, it might look like Ran J. I still read it as Ran J, but it is R and
Yeah. I couldn't when I made the channel. I couldn't put spaces in between the R and the J. It had to be a combined word. So it's not Rand J.
unless everyone commenting and watching down below, you can call me Rand if you'd like. I've never gone by that in my life, but there's a first time for everything. But
We're just the Rands. That
Hannibal,
can be our follower name, the Rands. There you go.
there we go. Coming up with gimmicks all the time.
Yeah.
Hannibal Antipasto, season 3, episode 1. What an episode! I mean, season 2, the finale was huge. Really, really big finale. Really, it was all guns blazing with that finale. It was non-stop action pretty much for that finale, and it ended in a way that you had no idea where it was going to go, and we saw where it went, and basically it was Hannibal on vacation.
He did well. We knew he was on a plane, so we knew he was going someplace, and we know it with the Hannibal, it's someplace exotic. So
Yeah,
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 we
and we start off with him in Paris. Uh,
yes,
Him and Bedelia are in Paris, and that starts off what is an exquisite opening scene. Really, what a well done scene. I mean, it lacked the punch and the force, I would say, that the season 2 intro had. However,
hmm
this was a very different type of intro. That one was a flash forward, very different. So this didn't quite pack the punch, but it was very good nonetheless. It was that whole scene where he's saying, "What was it? Bonsoir." Is that?
one spot. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. And that whole gimmick there, and that was a lot of fun. That was a great opening for season 3. Definitely, absolutely. Um, and then we get into kind of Hannibal and Bedelia going to, was it Florence?
Did they were in Florence? Yep.
Yep, Florence, Italy. And they're in Italy now, and that's where we get antipasto. Antipasto being Italian for appetizer. So I guess you could even say that this is the appetizer for what is to come in season 3.
Yeah,
And
it's the taste to get of the future violence and excitement that'll be happening.
and even in that sense, it kind of is, because it is just a taste, because none of the other main characters are around. This is a very Hannibal and Bedelia-centric episode. It was very, very gutsy, very risky to start off the
Yes.
season by doing that.
Yeah, this is the first episode at all since Dancy hasn't been in any Hannibal episodes. So it was definitely an interesting take to not see him at
And
all.
yeah, absolutely. And I was saying this to you before we started this. I think it worked so well. I mean, obviously the marketing and the teasers and everything like that has shown that everyone is still pretty much kicking.
Yeah, they're all like, it's not a spoiler if it's marketed.
Not all. I mean, there was one person that kind of came back in that finale that was killed off right away. But the main cast,
Our main cast.
yeah, the main cast is all back, which I really wish the marketing was toned down for that, because I really thought at least one of them would have died. But it was very, very risky to not include any of them in this episode, and I think it worked so well. I mean, like I was saying, I thought that they could have killed all of them off, and the show would be in good hands by doing episodes like this. This was phenomenal, this episode. It really was. For an episode that did not have a main cast and really focused on 2 characters, that one of which we didn't even know about really too well before this episode. We really got a little bit of, we found out what really makes her tick a little bit, and she still manages to be a wild card going into the future.
Yeah, with Bedelia, who is played by Gillian Anderson. and she's really a good actress. Like I love her character. I love the character. I've always liked the character. You were saying earlier that you didn't, but I like her, and now I'm just more interested in what's going on with her. It was just interesting and awesome. Like this is a reaction and a review of this episode. It's both, because some things I'll say it will be just more of my initial reaction to the scenes, because I loved it.
Well, when we look at specifics, when we look at the acting, cinematography, it's always well done in Hannibal. I mean, the cinematography, especially in this episode, told the story so many times. Also, we were talking about this before we started this video, that they didn't even do, unless I missed it, I don't believe they did it though, a 6 months later or anything like that when we saw the flashback scenes with Eddie Izzard's character.
No, they were just the only way that they did it was what we were also talking about prior to the show. I guess people should just join us prior to the shows. When we were talking about how it was the anthropomorphic widescreen, which is the one with the black lines in between, and it was in black and white. That's how you could realize what the flashback to it was.
Right. It was based completely on visual effects. That
Yes.
and the black and white tint on everything. And that's how they show you that it's a flashback, and you get it. You get it right away. You see Eddie Izzard back, you see the effects, and you get it. And that's pretty cool that they're able to do that. And I mean, the acting, I mean, come on, phenomenal. Hannibal Mads Mikkelsen is just unreal, unmatched, really.
He's so good. Like, he's so good to the point, like, I don't ever want to meet him in real life. Like, he's
convincing.
Yeah, he really does. Like, I don't want to meet him ever at all. Just like, I think he's so good at his job that he is Hannibal, you know?
Who really surprised me though was Bedelia, because this was by far the most we've seen from her in this show. And
yeah, I mean, we yeah, exactly. Excuse me for doing that. Yeah, we kind of in the original season 2. God, that was a horrible statement. In season 2, she was just kind of there, and at first you thought maybe she feared Hannibal, or she had like some type of weird twisted relationship with Hannibal, and then it goes to that ending of season 2 where she's on the plane with him, where she runs away. But this episode, she seems, as you talked about earlier, but to bring it back, she seems very tempted to be not evil, but towards her dark side.
She's a wild card right now. We don't know what to expect from her, and she's playing that perfectly. She's pretty much what Hugh Dancy was at the end of last season. You don't know what side she's on. You don't know her intentions, and it makes it for an interesting watch.
I mean, a lot of the times in TV shows, the lines are they're relatively blurred for good and bad, but we know who to root for and whatnot. Like, we know like what's the good and what's the bad.
Right.
And Hannibal, I think the only thing that's not bad is if you don't eat someone. That's how to define the line. If you're a good guy or a bad guy.
Well, I mean, if we look at it that way, who's a good guy and bad guy? I'll use those terms loosely, because not everything Hugh Dancy has done.
Yeah, I mean,
as a good guy. But
right. I mean, he killed one of those guys in a person from season 2, and then displayed him visually like a display, you know, like an animal. He just put him up like an animal in a museum.
Right. And lost my train of thought.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay.
Well, let's just talk about some of like the lines that just were sent in this episode overall, because they had some good ones, or like just the progression of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, we look at the writing. That's another thing. If we're going to talk review, we're going to talk the writing of this episode, and this show's getting better. It really just shows how far the show's come, and that's saying a lot, because the show didn't even start out bad. It's just gone so much better, though. And the fact that they went from what was pretty much a procedural show, where it was case of the week and stuff like that, it's really progressed into something completely different, and it's really become its own show.
I think like the case of the week, granted it's always been Hannibal being the monster, but like the monster of the week, the theme of the week works. But I think that with this show, like, it's good to get out of that trend, because this is even better. It's just as interesting, if not more.
Yeah, and when it comes to Bedelia, I just had a question. I know I asked you before this, we were talking about, but for anyone watching, possibly you can join in on this as well.
Please do.
There's the scene with Bedelia where she's in the bathtub and she kind of, I guess, not goes to sleep, but kind of has some kind of,
She she gets tired. Maybe she does go to sleep. She does. She sinks down.
she dreams pretty much. She has
Yeah.
a kind of dream sequence, and she sinks down into what they try to make look like blood, I'm guessing. And
I thought it was. I mean, I thought it was black goo because blood wouldn't go to black, but that could be wrong. It makes sense that it was black. It was blood, but I didn't see it as blood.
yeah, I don't know. I had taken it as blood, but who knows? Um, but it left for a couple questions. One, is it just her just feeling like she's drowning under? Because she was pretty much drowning in that dream. Is she drowning under the pressure and the situation of everything going on right now with her, or is it both, where she this might be a foreshadow for what's to come with her? Maybe towards the end of three, or maybe later, earlier. Maybe she drowns. Maybe there's a scene where she meets her demise in a scene that involves water. Maybe she has a water related death. I don't know. It was either this is how I took it, a foreshadow or a representation of her just feeling like she's drowning with everything going on, or it could be both.
I would say I hope it's not a foreshadow of her dying because I like her. I'd rather go with the latter of what you just said, just that she feels like she's drowning from what's going on because she's dealing with a lot, and I think that deep down inside she has basic morals that knows that Hannibal's doing is wrong. Um, but there's something about it that's attracted to Hannibal, obviously.
Right. It's this curiosity.
Yeah,
And
which was talked about as the episode ended.
yeah, and as we were saying before, I remembered. It is that she you said you got to the point of trying to discover who's good guy, who's bad guy here.
Yeah,
And I think she is bad because what puts her in that category is exactly what Hannibal said. Are you observing or are you participating? And by doing what she was doing, she was participating. So I think that pretty much drew the line for her. Regardless of where she is right now in her mental state, we see that she's very conflicted. It's a
yeah. I
very
mean,
personal conflict with her.
yeah. No. I agree with you. Very personal conflict, but I mean, I remember the two finale where we see her smiling at him, which made me instantly think she's a villain, for lack of a better word, like on his side, about whatever, an antagonist type character, just because like of her reaction at the end of it. Yes, she's conflicted, but why wouldn't she be conflicted? You know, Hannibal knows what he's doing because that's what he likes to do. He likes to cook people.
But she's not sold on this. She is very conflicted, and we
Yeah, to
see
the
that
point where she
range.
tries to run away.
Exactly. We see that range of, like you said, her smiling to, again, like you said, her running away. So there is a wide range of emotion right now
Temptation.
going on for
Yeah.
her. And it's interesting. It's damn interesting. For a character that never had too much before this, she's become one of the most interesting characters on the show.
Yeah, I mean, and the previous season she was standoffish, removed. She would lie, and for lack of a better sense of the word, she would, or not just, or she wouldn't tell all the truth, and you really couldn't get a feel for her character besides the fact that she's hiding something. You know, at least that's how I felt. And now that's not the case. She's just she was good in this episode. Like I think for a premiere episode, you and I, what we were saying earlier, we both expected it to kind of be like what the preview for episode 2 is going to be like, to be kind of like bring back everyone. But this put me more on board with her character overall, even though I liked her already. If that makes
See,
sense.
it's coming to the point you never have any character figured out in this show. You don't know the intentions of anyone. Hannibal, Will, Bedelia now, even Crawford to a degree. Everyone's so unpredictable. but in a sense that it fits their character. Whatever they do never feels out of place, and it's
I
interesting.
agree.
And I can't wait to see more of the season, and especially hopefully we'll get a couple more episodes like this. I doubt we do, but this one was a real treat.
I mean, yeah, I mean, from the preview for next week, it looks like he's leading them. He's going to be leading them to find him. So
Right.
eventually they'll be able to meet back up. Um, there was just a lot that went on with it. Just the episode, because like we still have more questions. Stuff that would happen in the finale wasn't really answered. Um, Hannibal is a creep. There's so, like he has so many great lines. Like when he asked Anthony if he wanted him to have him go over for dinner with him and his wife, and I'm like, never. Just say no, go away, run away.
But the way he
Or
worded it, my
yeah,
wife and I would love to have you for dinner.
have you for dinner, exactly. Not have you or have you for dinner. And I'm just like, let's just like I thought I was there. Like I was so creeped out. The TV is definitely based upon writing. The directing is a big part of television, but the writing is what really makes an episode of a show good. And the show's always perfect. 99% of the time.
For kind of what my last points here, going off of what you just said, the writing to me is it's unmatched right now in television. This is a very smart show, and we saw that especially in the writing in this episode. So many good lines, so many just ranges in emotion too. Like we see a very dark show with very dark subject matter, and they're cutting jokes like I've barely killed anyone since we've been here, and still doing it in
Yeah,
a very dark way, not really trying to be too comical, but still saying something that alludes to the fact that it is funny when he says it like that.
yeah.
It's very because you're laughing, but you're like, ooh, I shouldn't be laughing at that because of the
Well,
manner.
it's dark. It's dark and sick, but at the same time, as a viewer, like you go, oh, that's that's actually funny for him. It's not funny for me. It's funny for him.
And they have moments like that. It's just this was a home run episode, I think, especially for all the factors considered here, where you don't have a lot of the main cast, and it's very much just Hannibal and Bedelia. Huge risk, and I think it really paid off. What a
Yeah,
great season premiere.
yeah. My last point being is the episode surprised me in a good way. I thought it was gonna. I thought one character was going to get killed by him right away or towards the end of it, but it ended up being a completely different character, and I like that was good. Like I like being surprised. Like I like that my prediction was wrong. That means writing is good, as we just said. The whole thing was just great. Also, I doubt NBC filmed in Italy and France, and I just have to say I liked their sets and whatnot. Like I felt
Yeah,
that was good.
the atmosphere was beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah, it definitely captured it.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. The visually was a very stunning episode in that sense, and cinematography definitely contributed to that too. I'll always say this: the cinematography also in this show is pretty unmatched. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know a
great.
show like that. Yeah. That's it for me though. I mean, I could talk about this show forever.
Well, that's why we have 12. Yeah, 12. That's why we have 12 more weeks of this to do. So
Yeah.
episode 2 of 3 will be out next Thursday, which will be awesome as well. But the main characters are back more or less in it, which will be great. I'm pretty much out of stuff too. I don't want to give away the plot. I just wanted to react and talk about it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like my biggest problem with the episode is a no, like I said, my biggest problem with it is we have to wait 6 whole days for the next one. That's the worst part is we have to wait 6 more days. We got to wait how many months? Well, I only had to wait 2 or 3 because I watched the Blu-ray. But how many months do you have to wait for season 3 to come, Joe?
A year because it was pushed back a little bit in terms of when it usually starts. I believe it usually starts either May, April, maybe even March,
Okay.
and then this year was June, so later.
Yeah, I thankfully didn't have that problem. But the fact that I have to wait now is horrible, which is my biggest problem with the episode. But anyway, I liked it a lot. It's a solid episode, and I for a show that's about eating people, didn't think I'd like that, and I do. Didn't think it would. So like I said, I liked it. I know you liked it, and I think we're done here.
Yeah, well, you heard it from us, everyone. Huge fans of the season 3 premiere of Hannibal, titled Antipasto. Let us know what you thought.
Appetizer.
Appetizer in English, yep. And let us know what you thought of the episode down below. We'll talk about it, and we'll be back next week to do this. Hannibal's back. We're psyched. Great episode so far, and yeah, let us know and subscribe because it takes just around that much effort to do so. And
Yes, and we're a new channel, so we appreciate anyone that wants to actually interact with us two goofballs, because we love to do stuff like this. Just talk about favorite TV shows and interact with all of you guys up there.
Yep, absolutely. Took the words right out of my mouth. So until next time, he's R. I'm Jay.
And we are out of here. Family Guy reference and Hannibal review.